Have you ever felt overwhelmed after coming home from a trip? Because I have. Most recently it happened with me when I came back home from Japan. There are multiple reasons why I felt that way, but one of them is the fact that this Japan trip was kind of overpacked and rushed in a way. Mainly for the people that are further away from Japan, like Europeans or Americans. Going to Japan is kind of a lifetime event, so I assume that most of us would create an itinerary that is a bit overwhelming, because you probably want to see as much things as possible. You might not go to Japan ever again, so yeah, you want to have the best experience, you want to have everything in there. Even though we did not have an extremely overpacked itinerary, it was kind of on the limit. I am not a morning person, so getting up earlier is a bit more tiring for me. Thus, everything we did there was a bit more than it should have been. It had an effect at the end, that when we got home, I felt two things. One, that I was not 100% satisfied with the trip because we did not stay enough anywhere, but also I felt like it wasn't enough. This is a controversy, because you absolutely cannot do everything that a full-on Japan trip should contain in 2 weeks, and if you try, you just go overboard. But you still want to put in enough activities and destinations so that you don't feel that you wasted these 2 weeks in Japan. Nonetheless, this is today's video topic: slow traveling, and why I think slow traveling should be embraced 99% of the time when you go traveling. It doesn't matter where you go. Even if it's a once-in-a-lifetime destination, you really need to think about giving yourself enough time for stuff, because that's slow traveling. But first, hey, I'm Robbie, and this is Wonder Frame. Let's get started. As I said, I'm guilty of not embracing slow traveling enough, and I have experienced both. So over planning, like I said, what happened in Japan, and also normal and really nice slow traveling when we went to Madeira, because that was the most recent trip where we actually did this slow traveling, being more chill the whole time. Yeah, slow traveling is a mindset. It's not a trick, it's not a rule, a guide on how to travel, but really changing your thinking about traveling. Because from the beginning, when you start planning for the trip, you already need to have the slow traveling mindset, because you don't need to think about this as a limitation, the fact that you need to cut down on your destinations and activities that you want to do in your next trip, but rather you should start thinking from the get-go that you need to leave room for stuff to just happen while you are traveling. This will help you create a better itinerary, basically, and also to have a better time on your travels. Yes, in the end, you will need to take out a few things from your itinerary if you are the kind of person that really overplans and overthink everything. But you need to start with leaving out stuff that are kind of miscellaneous. So what I mean by miscellaneous things are basically you need to stop planning every step of your travel. You don't need to always set a food destination. So you should simply just leave out from your itinerary where and when and what you will eat for breakfast, and then when and where and what you will eat lunch, and then the same for dinner, and then the same for in-between snacks if you found something on the internet saying that how good is the ice cream at one spot or stuff like that. I know it's tempting to always have the best thing you can get out of your travels, but trust me, if you just leave it to the flow, that's when these smaller things will create interesting stories in your travel. Because you might end up stumbling upon a really nice ice cream truck that you didn't even know that was there, instead of going to the specific gelatos place that you saw on someone's Instagram account. But these things need to happen first in your mind. You need to let go of these smaller things and just leave room for stuff to just happen. That's one thing. The second thing is try limiting yourself to 1 or 2 activities or destinations per day, because depending on how long those activities should take up from your time from that day, you might want to leave room for a bit of time to walk. So instead of taking a bus or a train, so you end up getting there faster, if it's just a 20 or 30 minutes walk towards that destination, then instead of packing 3 or 4 activities in the same day, leave time to walk to the first destination and then to walk between the destinations or between the places where those activities are happening. In that time, when you are just walking and looking out for stuff, that's allowing for interesting stories to emerge in your travel, because you might not know what you will encounter on your walk there. It can be an actual thing that happens in front of you, or you just find an interesting shop, or you find an interesting restaurant that you will just remember when you finish the day to come back to. These walks also allow for connecting with the people you are with. Sure, if you are a solo traveler, then it's a bit different. Also, by limiting yourself to doing only 1 or 2 activities or going to 1 or 2 destinations per day, you are also allowing yourself to immerse in that specific destination, in that specific activity, to be in the moment more and not rush, not always thinking, I have 20 more minutes to stay here because I might miss the bus that will take me to the next destination. Yeah, sure, if you have activities that are time-based, then okay, that's understandable. But then in that case, try to spread out those activities as much as you can, so you don't put too many of those in one single day. So as an example, this is kind of what happened between our Japan trip and Madeira. We went through an agency, and this agency is really catered towards people who want to visit Japan by themselves, but they are a bit scared that Japan is a totally new culture and so far away from home, and you have no idea probably what you are doing there for the first time when you go, and you want some guidance. And this agency is basically helping you create the itinerary and also be there 24/7 if you have any issues. This agency asked us what we want to do. I was already looking into and creating my own itinerary for the Japan trip, so I shared these ideas with them, and then they helped out fill up the spaces where I did not know exactly what to do. And then we had a full-on itinerary created by them. I mean, created by both of us, basically. But they were with this mindset that traveling to Japan might be the once-in-a-lifetime event, and they try to pack a bit more things in there so that our experience is a bit more whole. And I understand that. I actually don't really know if I would have done it differently. Still, I regret that I haven't seen Mount Fuji. I regret that I haven't gone to Hokkaido. I regret that I did not do a bunch of things in Japan, and not really regret, but I want to go again to experience these things too. So yeah, those things that we did in Japan were a bit much to do everything, but maybe I would have done the same thing anyway. But this mentality of overpacking should be eliminated, as I said, 99% of the time. And most of the trips should be slow travel, because in these 2 cases, Madeira and Japan, I remember more and I have a stronger feeling for the events and activities that we've done in Madeira. I love Japan so much that if there would be a possibility, I would even move there. But the actual memories that I made between these 2 trips, Madeira left a bigger impact because we did the slow traveling. We picked a further away hotel, not in the capital, Funchal. It was a lot quieter. It was on a seaside with a nice restaurant and a cafe. We had these breakfasts in these cafes. We went on simple walks around this little town that this hotel was placed in, Ponta do Sol. We just walked around the streets there and went to see some waterfalls. Then we picked 2 simpler trails, long but easier trails, which were really not crowded at all. We encountered people like 5 times or maybe 7 times along the whole 10-kilometer trail, and spent the whole day on those trails. So we did not do anything at all other than going to those trails on that day. And we took our time, and it was amazing. We stopped on the trail, we took photos, we took breaks, we just stood there and rested on some benches along the trails and really immersed ourselves in the nature and everything that we saw there. Then, yes, one morning we woke up really early to go to see the sunrise on Pico de Arieiro, even though we did not see much. Even then, we woke up early in the morning, but it was not a rush. We did not have to run. And when we arrived at the destination, we still had enough time to wait for sunrise. And then we just walked around that place and then slowly started and went on the trail towards Pico Ruivo. You understand what I want to say. We took our time, we did everything we wanted. We even left out visiting Cristiano Ronaldo's museum because in the end, I'd rather visited something else and went on another trail, or I don't know, those kind of stuff. Visited the north side of the island at Seychelles and along those coastlines. So yeah, depending on what you actually want to do, pick the destinations accordingly and leave enough time each day to just be, and leave enough time for the activity to unfold and to have a better experience, and leave time for stuff to happen, because then all those memories will remain strong and you will remember all of those trips a lot more, and you will have a nicer experience in the end. Also, talking about taking photos. I know that if you are a travel photographer, even if it's just a hobby, but if you really like taking those really nicer photos for which you need to plan kind of something. For example, you absolutely need to plan a really early morning outgoing for catching the sunrise in some places, like we did with Pico de Arieiro. Or if you want to be at sunset somewhere, or at night, or you want to be in a city in the middle of the day because you really want to see and capture those shadows, those hard lines. Whatever the reason, if you want to take better photos, you tend to try to plan a bit more around the photography side of the things. But even if you don't want to skip planning for these things, I think a good tip is to not plan for the shot. Instead, think about it as kind of some project. So don't say that I want to take the photo on Pico de Arieiro about the sunrise. Instead, think about the whole experience, the whole plan as a project. What's the feeling you want to capture with these images? You want to convey a feeling of serenity along the way of getting to the mountain peak and along the way towards this nice destination of taking an image of the sunrise. So what this means is basically you will allow time in your plan to take images along the way towards the destination. Then to take images of the location on how it looks when you arrive there, how it looks during the sunrise, and then also taking images about the sunrise and about yourself and your friends or whoever is with you there. And these images in a set will have a much more powerful impact on anybody if they see this whole project happening. Also, it will have a bigger impact on you. It will help you grow more as a photographer, as a storyteller, and you will probably end up getting warmed up with the photographic eye, with the vision for that specific moment when the big moment happens, the actual sunrise happens, and you might end up getting better images than if you just go there specifically to get a sunrise image. But unfortunately, not everybody can do this, or not that not everybody, but this slow traveling is not always a possibility. You will have trips when you will overpack, simply just because the destination is a once in a lifetime destination like a Japan trip. Maybe yes, maybe not. It depends on who you are and how much time and money you have. But yeah, there will be times when this is unavoidable and you will just overpack because you want to see everything. If you spend the time and money to go to that big destination, let's say it's Australia, let's say it's America, let's say you will not ever go to America again because you will not have enough money in your life ever again. Who knows? You don't know because you can't see the future. So you might end up thinking that this is the one and only opportunity to go to America or to Australia or to Japan or to China or whatever. And you will try to include as much in that itinerary because you want to see as much as possible. And that's okay. It will happen and you can't do anything about it. But just stop and think clearly and think really hard before starting to plan your next travel, and try to plan it with this slow travel mindset in mind first, because it might end up working for you and it might end up changing that big travel into probably your life's best experience ever. So yeah, this was on my mind lately, mostly because what happened in Japan and what happened in Madeira. And because both of them were pretty recent travels, it really started me thinking about this whole slow travel and overpacking the itinerary and stuff like that. So I wanted to get this out. Maybe there will be somebody who will benefit from this video. I don't know. Even if that's only one person, in the end, that's enough reason to create these, to do these videos. Yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you think about this whole slow traveling. Have you ever done slow traveling, or have you ever experienced that overrushed trip? And also, if you have any other interesting tips or ideas that can be applied when planning for this slow travel type of trips, leave those thoughts down in the comments. Maybe they will help out somebody. Maybe you will help out me for my next travel. Who knows? Yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for watching this whole mumbling. I really hope it will help somebody out. You know the jazz. Subscribe, comment, like, and see you in the next one.